We live and back with y'all again, seasoned as fuck.
You know it.
And just for those who don't understand that or don't understand what that means, it means we grown
All the way.
and can have any kind of conversations we want to, unapologetically.
That part.
That is what that. But we are back with you guys this evening. Miss Harmony, how are you? It's been a minute.
I am amazing. Thank you so much for asking. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Well, you
good.
looking good.
Thank you, thank you. You know, it's
Welcome.
that good moisturizer. I keep
Yes,
telling you.
sir. Yes, sir.
Mhm. Well, we are back with some heavy conversations for the people tonight, if I must say so myself.
What we
Some
talking about?
heavy. I don't know if y'all ready for this one,
Uh-oh.
but if not, you're not supposed to be on here because this
That's
is
right.
for the seasoned as fuck.
You got to check those IDs.
Check them, make sure y'all ready. So my first question for you, Harmony, tonight is: what age should you allow your children to start dating?
Ooh, let's see. Hmm. Well, honestly, I don't know if there's like a universal age for that. I feel like, you have to really, really take into consideration most your child. You know what I'm saying? You really got to know your child and, know what they can handle, hopefully you've had some conversations with them about a few things. I would like to think, they should be, at least in their, mid teenage years. I said I would like to think. Some of these kids be trying to be grown. They be trying to be grown as if and when they're not. But for me personally, I think both of my girls started around the same time, like in high school. Kind of probably around when I started, probably about like 10th grade or so, which for us was a little young because we all skipped a grade. So we were all younger than the other people in our classes respectively. But so we were probably about maybe 14, 15-ish, somewhere in there. And, at that stage, it's usually that cute little innocent, puppy type of dating, not nothing too serious, just a little like, I like you, do you like me? At least that's how it was back in my day. Check yes, check no, check a box. Start trying to like hang out a little bit after school or maybe meet each other at the mall and, those types of things. Unfortunately, these days, our kids are exposed to so much so early. They know way more than we did when we were their age, right? So, you have to be a little more, inquisitive. I don't think it's being nosy when you're a parent. I think you are obliged and entitled to be all up in your kid's business. So you don't need any type of, permissions or whatever. It's talking about privacy. You don't have no privacy. You don't have no privacy until you grown. Then you can have the privacy. So I think that for me, it was always about just understanding my kids individually and where they were, and who they are, what they're ready for. They got to be able to communicate, before they can start dating. You got to be able to, talk and speak up for yourself. And, girls, have a lot of different things that they have to deal with than boys do. And so around 14, 15, I feel is a decent age if I had to put a number on it. What you think, Skills?
Man, if I couldn't disagree with all of what you said more, I guess this may be a dad thing or it may just be a whole different point of view. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I am complete opposite. I believe just like they put an age limit on driving and an age
Mm-hmm.
limit on drinking and an age limit on, being able to purchase certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be an age limit on dating. And I think that, our kids and for the most part, I believe start dating way too early.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets some of the wrong expectations and it sets some of the wrong ideas in their head just because of one of the things that you did say is there's so many different levels of maturity.
Right.
And, who's to say that, if your daughter, you think she's ready to date, at 14, 15 years old, she runs into a boy her age, but he's on a 18, 19-year-old level,
Mm-hmm.
because he's experienced and he has more, something else that happened in his path in life.
Right.
Um, that puts him at a higher level than where your daughter is.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, it might be a dad answer, but
That's okay.
I'm thinking more 17, 18. And I think that we should have those conversations early and set that expectation, not really, give into that when it comes to stuff like that, because I just think that the focus is off a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
They're that young and they start focusing on boys versus focusing on schoolwork and
Mm-hmm.
focusing on, and or even for we're both girl we both have daughters, but
Mm-hmm.
um even from a boy standpoint, I just thinks that sets the focus into the wrong area. So I think that age level for all kids, regardless of maturity level, should be somewhere around 17 or 18, right at the time where they're, out of school and they're, technically getting to that grown age and they can now drive and now do the things that they, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That,
Absolutely.
that's just my view on it. I'm sure I'll get some pushback from a lot of the women on that one.
No,
Uh,
they'll probably agree with you. I mean, it's definitely a valid point. Definitely, some good, good thinking. I don't know, not that I ever, you know, make my movements based on like what reality is or what society does, but I feel like too, a lot of times when you try so hard to like hold and restrict especially kids from doing things, they try to get to it even more. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that that's a reason to let them do it, because I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like realistically, they're in school away from us for 7, 8 hours a day, and it's natural, as far as when teenagers start liking people and all those types of things. And then, they have those things, they have those thoughts they have. And I'm not talking about sexual thoughts. I'm just talking about, liking somebody thoughts. Because luckily I was really blessed to have both of my girls were still kind of, even though they both did start dating around 14, 15, they were still it was kind of old school. It was like the cute little, crushes and cute little, will you go with me? And, it wasn't anything too crazy, too major, too serious, too fast. Um, and they kind of both ended up being with like one person throughout their whole high school career. So I almost felt comfortable with that, because that made it less likely for them to be having to deal with multiple personalities and multiple situations and, all the things that come with, trying to date at that young age. So I definitely understand what you're saying. So I feel you.
Dad, y'all hear me?
Oh yeah, they hear you. Well, I'm gonna say to them dads is, remember what you was doing when you was 14, 15, 16,
Exactly.
or
That's even
17.
more
That's
reason.
that's
That's even more of a reason to change that age group.
that's why you don't want your daughter to date, because you know that you don't want her to run into you.
And see, I wasn't that dude. I started dating late. That wasn't my focus in school. I
Good,
was
good.
the late bloomer when it came to that. So that wasn't.
Cool.
I do know that when I did start dating, it just became just a whole unnecessary production that was just so.
Like, what is
What
happening?
are we even doing?
Too much, probably.
Right. What is going on right now? Like, I'm not even focused on like sports and school no more. I'm focusing on taking somebody to the movies. Like that ain't it. But yeah. So that's but that's where that came from. So
Okay, good conversation for us
yeah,
grown folks to have.
right. So this one still is somewhat pertaining to kids.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of people will find this one very interesting.
Mm.
Um, does sex change? after having children as an
Ooh.
adult.
Hmm. Well, Um, I guess I can only speak for myself.
Mm,
But like how you said you were kind of a late bloomer to dating, I think
mhm,
in my circle, I was considered a late bloomer to being sexually active. Most of my friends were getting it in high school and doing all the things, and I was like, what is happening and why? I had a different focus. I had a career focus. You can see I was, even though I had a little high school boyfriend, a high school sweetheart, none of that was happening. So I actually, didn't cross that line until I was in college. And Fortunately and unfortunately, not the first time, but the first person that I ended up being intimate with, I had a baby. So, you know, I was pretty young. I basically started and then had a kid immediately. So, I don't have a big gap in between when I started and does it change after having kids, because I started and I had a kid, if that makes sense. So,
mm,
but I think what probably changes, or what even changed in my circumstance, was just that, you know, um, you have less time to do it. You have less, you know, your focus ends up, going to the kid instead of to yourself or to your partner. So things like that may take place for a little while. It depends on what type of relationship you're probably in. Like if you're in a, long-term relationship, then and you're with somebody and everything is good and grand, you might be able to kind of keep it moving, keep it going. If you're not in a good relationship, then it might change. So I think there's a lot of factors to why it might change. I don't know if, like after having kids, outside of the, other factors that don't really have anything to do with the kid. I don't know how much having the actual kid changes that, for me anyway. How about you?
for me, it absolutely changed.
Mm,
You know, I think the major part of it was, after having a kid, first of all, from the male point of view, you're, you know, a little more cautious.
right. Like, oops.
Because, oh, wait a minute. Last time we did,
Look what happened.
some, some got pregnant. um, but that's just the physical part of it. But like you said, it was a little bit more sneaking around once the kids, got up to be able to tell what y'all was doing. We had to
Right.
kind of make room and space for it. So in that aspect of it, yes, it definitely changed as well. But then the other part of it that changed for me was that I understood and realized that women's bodies change so much um,
Mm-hmm.
after having kids, and there's different types of there's different types of feelings, and there's
Mm-hmm.
different things to reach and new cross,
All facts.
you new experiences to be had.
Right.
And you then understand that some of the things that you were you thought was a big deal before
Uh-huh.
becomes not so big deal after. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay, I no longer concerned about that. Y'all bodies are beautiful and amazing, and are able to um abstain just take on a lot more than what we thought y'all could, like
Right,
after
that
that.
part. What a nice way to say it.
I was trying to come up with
Right,
a
while we over
political
here shape shifting and things.
but yeah, so that's my
Absolutely.
take.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's definitely good. It's always good to have the male perspective. I think it's always so interesting how, we as men and women, we could be talking about the same thing, and we could be, our perspectives can be on completely opposite spectrums. Sometimes we're on the same page about things, but a lot of times we look at the same thing and see something different, or we approach it differently. Our brains work differently. So that's one of the things I love about, our platform, and I love about our audience is that, we get a chance to have these conversations and get everybody's perspective. Let's see how you feel, how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to jump in right quick to a segment that we like to call the sauce check. The sauce check. And we just basically just talk a little bit about like what's spicing up our lives this week. So what about you, Skillz? Well, you got anything specific spicing up your life this week? It could be a date night idea, something you do for self-care, anything that you are using, something you've been watching, something you've been doing. What's spicing it up for you this week?
I mean, literally just that in itself. You know what I mean? I've gotten back into my cooking phase, and you know
Okay,
what I mean? Always been a really good cook.
I'm gonna need a plate.
Um,
I'm just saying.
but life in itself takes you away from cooking healthy sometime and just,
Hmm.
putting my sauces and my seasonings back in my food, and making sure that I'm eating properly, and, cooking more and more every day. So, that's been spicing up my life, and, adding the extra sauce in there.
All
Um,
right, all right.
just tonight I cooked a lobster ravioli with some mushrooms and some,
Y'all
yeah,
heard
it
that,
was,
ladies? Chef
yeah.
Skills.
When I say homemade, everything, I don't play. I
Okay.
don't.
I'm just saying I need a plate. That's all I'm saying. I can't co-sign it yet because I ain't tasted nothing, so I can't say, can't confirm or deny. But
Seasoned in the kitchen as well.
okay, I'm gonna take your word for it because you ain't never lied to me yet. So we gonna see though. I'm gonna need a
And
plate.
seasoned on the chin, and seasoned in the kitchen as well.
All right. You heard it here, ladies. Let's see. For me, what's something that's you know, so I've never had the best relationship with sleep. We've never really been friends. So for me, I am a, natural night owl. Just most of the professions that I've been in all my life kind of require me to be up all hours of the night. And then I'm an insomniac as well. So those things together just don't even really like make good sense. So something that I've been really working on lately is just kind of having a morning routine, kind of just making sure that I do certain things, before I even roll out of the bed. For me, of course, I always got to pray, talk to my Lord and Savior. I start out with my thanks and my gratitude before I start asking for things. I say thank you for all the things, past, current, and future. And then I try to just make sure that I am, in the best energy and going to start my day out really well, be positive and productive. So that's something that I'm, saucing it up with this week. Just trying to have a morning routine so that I can get my day started really, really well.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I
you
feel
guys
you.
be sure to make sure you let us know in the comments what's something that you're doing to spice your life up. What sauce you putting on your life, here lately to make it better. Maybe you can give us some ideas. We can learn from you.
Well, you might want to try a little melatonin or something.
Melatonin is real unreliable for me. Like it's let me down on numerous occasions when I like really needed some sleep and I tried to use it and it did not do anything. So
You tried the little melatonin gummies. You
I'm
tried.
not a gummy fan, but I've had some melatonin pills. I've had somebody gave me some CBD oil. One of my close personal friends, Lisa, she used to sell some CBD oil. I tried that. It was a little more reliable. And
Huh?
then it was another type of melatonin. I can't remember what it was. Something I think, oh, something you drop under your tongue. And so they were all pretty unreliable. Yeah. Like
Okay.
sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't, but I couldn't count on it.
Do you work out in the morning or at night?
No, I'm definitely a night working out, evening or night.
Okay. I
I'm
mean,
not a
I just
morning person.
that normally does it for me when I
Yeah.
work out. It knocks me out.
Right. Be done.
So the working out in the morning, it doesn't really work for me, and it
I'm
does.
just not a morning person.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
well, that was my thoughts. I don't know what else to help you with that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I take all the suggestions I can get. I've tried it all.
Well,
Well,
definitely, anybody can think of anything else that will help my girl get her a little nappy nap. Although,
please.
scientists say that you need less sleep as you get older.
Yeah, I've always needed a
So,
little bit. So 5 or 6 hours, I'm completely rejuvenated and ready to go.
yeah, so that's actually pretty normal. You really don't need more than that. I know
Mm,
people stuck on that whole ideal of 8 hour
8 hours.
reality, and that's not what your body technically needs as you get
Mm-mm,
older.
child. Mm-mm.
Um, Only when you're younger do you need that amount of sleep. But
Yeah,
as
because
you
the
get
teenagers be knocked, okay? Cool,
but
cool.
so hopefully that works. But sounds like if you're getting 6 hours in there, you good to go. You don't
That's
need
all
much.
I need. Hit the ground running,
It,
disrupt
it looks
some things.
rested.
Well, thank you, my love. I sure do appreciate it.
It looks you don't look tired over there. So
Well, thank you. I try. I try. Well, all right, guys. Well, look, if this episode hit home, we want you to tag a grown friend and share the love. Don't forget to follow Seasoned AzF. And for more bold, unfiltered, real grown conversation about life after 45. We're going to see you next time and stay seasoned.
Houston.